The pillars are the most complex puzzles in the challenge by far. Fortunately, solving them incorrectly doesn't shut them off, so you can attempt them multiple times. Unfortunately, that means you can't get new ones, you're stuck with what you're given. If you do fail a pillar, quickly rotate around before the line you drew disappears so you can see what you missed and adjust accordingly. So, now for some specifics. There are 4 types of symmetry and each have pretty different strategies for solving them. The type of symmetry can be identified just by looking at the locations of the start points. The first type of symmetry is no symmetry or easy symmetry. This is identified by both starts being on the bottom on opposite sides of the panel. In this case, both lines start on the bottom and move in the same direction. The easiest way of doing this is to wrap around in one direction, picking up dots row by row, and backtracking to adjust your line if you see any dots you missed. Sometimes you may need to do a bit of vertical zigzag like this to pick up all the dots, or you may even need to switch what direction you're wrapping around the pillar midway through. Again, just don't get stuck in a single mindset, keep yourself flexible. This is the easiest method of solving easy symmetry puzzles, but wrapping around the pillar multiple times like that can be a waste of time. So a faster method can be to stick to one side of the pillar for the most part, and only check the other side every so often. That's riskier though, since it's easy to miss dots this way since you're only looking at one side of the panel. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Second type of symmetry is horizontal symmetry only and no vertical symmetry. This is identified by both starts being at the bottom and next to each other. This symmetry is usually not too hard since you're restricted to one half of the pillar to draw in your solution, but because of that you can only see half the solution at a time. With this symmetry, I don't thoroughly check both sides before attempting a solution. I just pick the side with more dots, grab all the ones I can see with the line, and cover as much empty space as possible. If the solution is wrong, I quickly check the other side of the panel to see which dots I missed, and I adjust my solution accordingly. The third type of symmetry is vertical and horizontal symmetry together. This is identified by one start point being at the top and one being at the bottom on the same side of the pillar. Generally what I do here is attempt a greedy method. I'll look at each line and try to grab the dots that are closest to the tip. Once I've grabbed most of the dots, I start trying to plan an exit route to reach the finish. It's important to keep the exits in mind. You don't want to get too greedy with the dots, or you may block off the exit and have to start over. If possible, I'll quickly wrap around to the other side of the pillar to double check I haven't missed anything before finishing. The last type of symmetry is vertical symmetry with the lines wrapping around the pillar in the same direction. This one has one start point at the top and one at the bottom on opposite sides of the pillar. I find this to be the most difficult type of symmetry since you can't ever see the tip of the opposite line as you're drawing it, but similarly to the previous symmetry, I usually try a greedy method here. But it's more difficult due to never being able to see the tip of the opposite line. That said, just use similar methods. In general, there are a couple things you can pay attention to make your life easier. One is that you can mentally copy dots over to their symmetrical positions so you know exactly where to pick them up with the line you're drawing. For example, on this pillar, I noticed this dot corresponded to this position, which made me realize I needed to hook the line around like this before exiting the puzzle. Another thing you can do is use the shape of the line you're drawing to identify where the dots you missed are. For example, here I noticed I missed a dot while wrapping around the pillar and then I need to backtrack to pick it up. Before backtracking, I noticed that the dot was resting in the middle of this arch that I drew. So when I backtracked a bit and found that arch, I knew exactly where I needed to draw the line to pick up that missing dot. Like the triangle puzzles, when you're using a greedy method, a solid start can cause the second half of the puzzle to basically solve itself. If you find yourself stuck while trying to finish off this pillar, don't be afraid to start over using a different approach at the beginning to try to free up some space.